Hey everyone, for today's skill breakdown, I decided to cover Lady Guinevere. She is a story-related hero that you unlock during Act 2. She is a sage, so she has a lot of good abilities, and let's just get into it. Starting with her Tier 1, we have her basic strike attack. With the upgrade, this can inflict chill. You can increase its damage by 15%. You can increase the damage she does against frozen units, and you can have her regain a bit of HP for every hit. Now this upgrade here dovetails really well into her second ability, Freezing Attack. For 4 AP, you do 100% weapon damage and you freeze your target. With the upgrades, you can increase the armor breaking by 50%, cause a 20% vulnerability debuff while they're frozen. You can have the move apply chill for 2 turns after the freeze effect ends, so they'll still be debuffed after they are no longer stunned. And reduce the cooldown by 1. Her third ability here is Bless, increase 30% melee damage for 1 turn. You can increase this duration up to 2 turns. The target of Bless also gains an AP. The target also gains 20% mental debuff resist. And turn Bless into a bit of an AoE where everyone in the party gets a 10% melee damage buff. For our first defensive, we have Aura Protection. She will gain 3 unbreakable armor as well as adjacent allies. With upgrades, it will also reduce incoming range damage by 6 for anyone under the effect of the aura. People under the aura gain a 10% physical debuff resist bonus, a 10% mental debuff resist bonus, and have it extend out to 2 tile ranges. So now they don't need to be right next to her to be getting these benefits. For her passives, the first one is All Resistance, 15% mental debuff and physical debuff. Long Reach, some extra range for her range abilities. And Favored. This one I really like. Makes the first support spell that she casts during the encounter cost 0 AP. Makes a very strong turn for her. Getting into Tier 2, we have the ability that sages are sort of famous for. One of their strongest abilities for sure is Inspire. It costs 3 AP, but Guinevere and all of her allies will gain 2 AP, so effectively you're netting a cost of 1. With the upgrades, Inspire will reduce any active cooldowns by 1, can grant an additional movement AP to your entire party, remove a bunch of status effects, and reduce the cooldown. For her second ability, we have another defensive called Globe of Protection. This is actually a very strong one. At max level, gain 50 temporary HP as it scales at 2 per level. Reduce the cost by 1. Grant 6 additional armor. Grant 20% mental and physical debuff resist. And remove negative status effects from her. This is a very strong self-targeting defensive. Third, we have another sort of defensive reflection kind of move. This is Frost Armor. Melee attacks made against her, 10% of the damage dealt reflect back at the attacker, plus granting an additional 5 armor. Reduce incoming vitality damage, so in case she does get hurt, makes it a bit harder for her to actually die. Plus 6 unbreakable armor against ranged attacks, making her harder to get sniped. Increasing the reflection bonus from 10% to 20%. And reducing armor lost by 25%. So just all around making her much tankier. Next we have Teleport, which is a great move. It has a range of 9, cost of 1, just instantly appears somewhere else on the battlefield, no attacks of opportunity. When we get into the upgrades, we can reduce the cost by 1, that's why it's costing 1 here. Heal a bit whenever you teleport, 5 HP. It's not a whole lot, but it is something. Increase the range. I'm always a fan of increasing range. And Arriving Hidden. This one is big, especially if you're trying to sneak up on an enemy or get away from enemies. Arriving Hidden just huge amount of survivability off the bat. For passives, we have Enchanted Weapon, extra 10% weapon damage, and Unburdened. When she loses all of her hit points, all of the cooldowns are reduced by 2, so you're going to be having a good portion of your abilities, if they're currently on cooldown, immediately off cooldown. Just creates a great turn for her to freeze, teleport, inspire, all kinds of different things. Moving into her tier 3, first up we have Ice Wall. Ice Wall is a great move, great for cutting off enemies, making them take a long way around, or trapping them in a corner. At base, it's 3 tiles long, provides half cover, which usually isn't relevant in my experience, and has vitality equal to her vitality. With upgrades, you can increase the health of the ice walls. As I've mentioned before, kind of a dead talent because the AI breaks a little bit when against ice wall and almost never attacks it. You can increase the casting range, so you can put them from further away. Always good. You can increase the length up to 5. If you're using Ice Wall, this is pretty much a must, because 3 squares is usually not enough to cut off a certain area. And then, when the ice walls are destroyed or expire, adjacent units to these ice walls become frozen for a turn. Also great. Here, we have Soothing Words, which is just a good recovery passive. At the end of each encounter, Guinevere will restore 7 HP to herself and all of her allies. This is very good for higher difficulties where campfires are much less effective, so having a way to restore health can really help alleviate some pressure in some higher difficulty missions. With upgrades, you can increase the armor restoration bonus when using a campfire. You can increase the health restoration bonus when resting at a campfire. And both of these, again, like I've said, are very good. With the lower healing effects from campfires, this can really make a difference. Increase the effect of the Soothing Words, so she's just healing extra HP at the end of each fight. And lastly, restoring a little bit of vitality when you choose to take the hit points recovery option at a campfire. This is such a small amount. This doesn't really seem very useful to me, in my opinion, because usually if you're taking vitality damage, you're taking a lot of vitality damage. There's a couple small cases where I could see this being useful. This is more of a judgment call when you're playing through and seeing how often you're just getting little bits of chip vitality damage. For me, this isn't really worth the skill point investment. Up next, we have another passive with Scout, just increasing perception, which is moderately useful for spotting traps, hidden enemies, but also grants a movement AP, making her a bit more mobile. The upgrades for this are pretty good though, granting 2 movement AP on her first turn, -6 damage from ranged attacks, again just making her a bit more tanky, immune to opportunity attacks, which is great if you're either getting in for an attack and want to back out, or if enemies are bearing down on her and you need to escape. And then the first range attack against her in an encounter automatically misses. Next, her last active skill, Ray of Light. This one I'm actually a pretty big fan of. It does really bad damage, but that's not why you're using it. It will blind a target for a turn. Now, this is very useful. It's an 80% chance to miss. For the upgrades, we can increase the weapon damage. The damage is so low, I feel like this isn't worth it. Reduce the AP cost by 2, that's big. Increasing the range by 1. Range is always good. And then increasing the duration of the blind, but also increasing the cooldown. Now for her last 3 passives, we have Wish of Death. Guinevere will gain an AP when an enemy unit dies. Now this means when any enemy unit dies. She does not need to be the one getting the killing blow. Mysticism. Killing a unit reduces all cooldowns by 1. It can only work once per turn. Now this one, she does actually have to provide the killing blow, and all your cooldowns will get dropped by 1. You can't go crazy with this. It can only trigger once per turn, but sometimes you only need that once. Lastly, Divine. Regain 35 HP, scales off of level. When your HP drops to 0, activates once per encounter. Again, this is just another good defensive to make your sages a bit tankier. As you can see, Guinevere actually has a lot of options if you want to build her this way into becoming a pretty tanky character, almost sort of like an off tank. And that goes ahead and wraps up this skill breakdown. This is all the different abilities, all the different upgrades she offers. I hope this was helpful to some of you, and maybe after seeing all she can offer, this may have persuaded you or dissuaded you from using her. Personally, I think she's pretty solid and is a pretty good addition to a lot of different team comps. As usual, thanks for watching.